In the Buddhist discourse known as Paharada Sutta, that starts on the page 82 of volume 5 in the Anguttara Nikaya, Buddha said that the basic main taste of Buddhism is emancipation. He compared that taste to the salty taste of water in the ocean. Anywhere in the ocean, the taste of sea water is salty. Similarly, anywhere in Buddhism, the basic taste is emancipation. Emancipation referred to in Buddhism is of two types. One is a mental emancipation, the other is a physical emancipation. Emancipation in Buddhism means the freedom from suffering. We undergo mental suffering as well as physical suffering. Emancipation from mental suffering is achieved at the Enlightenment by the realization of Nirvana. Yet, even the enlightened ones have to undergo physical suffering such as old age, sickness, death, etc. The cessation of physical suffering starts with the final passing away from life. It is called Parinirvana in Sanskrit and Parinirvana in Pali. It is the cessation of physical suffering as well as mental suffering forever, because there is no more birth for the enlightened one after their final passing away. Birth, according to Buddha, is the cause, the main cause, the root cause of all our suffering. We suffer old age, we suffer decay, that is old age, sickness and death, because we are born. If you are not born, there is no decay, there is no sickness, and there is no death. And the complete emancipation from the physical suffering of decay, sickness, and death. They are physical phenomena, physical events. Emancipation achieved at the Enlightenment is freedom from suffering, and Buddha, in his very first sermon called Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, said, our suffering, in short, is nothing but our thinking. If you don't think, there is no suffering. For example, when you are under an operation, under anesthetic, then you don't think of the physical pain that the body undergoes because you are not conscious. The nervous system is not responding to the operation, the physical operation. Therefore, the mind is not thinking, and therefore there is no suffering. All our suffering mentally is caused by our thinking. That's why Buddha said in this very first sermon, Sankittena pancha upadana khandapi dukkha. He really gave a condition how thoughts breed suffering. Upadana khanda. Upadana means clinging. Word clinging means we think, I am thinking, this is my thought, this is my body, this is my good name, somebody has insulted my good name, and so on. This is my wife, husband. And those clinging to things and beings brings about mental suffering. Therefore, clinging is the main cause of suffering. The root cause of clinging Buddha referred to as thirst for pleasure, tanha. And he described it as kama tanha in one aspect, bhava tanha in another aspect, vibhava tanha in another aspect. The basic thirst, the mental thirst, is for pleasure, sensory pleasures. And no sensory pleasure can give a permanent happiness, permanent bliss, because everything world is subject to birth, decay and death, and pleasant things cannot last long, and the frustration caused by the loss of pleasant things lead to mental suffering. And the suffering is made up out of our thinking. That is why Sankitya Panchupadana, the Upadana are 5 aggregates of a thought. Thinking means a series of thoughts coming one after the other is called thinking. Every thought is made out of 5 events from birth to death. It's born with a stimulation of a sense organ by a sensory stimulation. Then the sensory organs get a feeling pleasant, unpleasant or neutral. Then the sense organs send a signal to the mind. Mind recognizes the signal with the help of the past memories called knowledge and start thinking about the object through liking, disliking or through ignorance. We think of things that we like, we think of things that we dislike, and we think of things that we really do not know, that we want to understand. That is, ignorance leads to our thinking. They are referred to in Buddhism as raga, dosa, moha, translated as attachment, resentment, and ignorance. Enlightenment means the complete freedom from attachment, resentment, and ignorance. Their ignorance means not knowing the real nature of things. We get attached to things without knowing their real nature. We resent things without knowing their real nature. The basic nature is everything is born to decay and die. And other nature that is proved even scientifically, we can hold on to nothing. Everything is dynamic and instantly changing. That is why in the 5th century BC, a Greek philosopher called Heraclitus said, no one can step into the same river twice. Once you step into the river, when you try to step into the second time, the river has gone away. You are touching a different river. Such is the speed of the universal dynamism. In every atom, in every atomic subparticle, and everywhere in the universe, there is a universal dynamism, so that you can hold on to nothing. Once we realize the truth, we do not get attached to anything, nor do we resent anything. And as we know the real nature of things, we are not ignorant of the reality of things. And such a mind is free from mental suffering. That means nothing worldly can disturb their mind. That is what is said in the Mahamangal Sutra, Puttasa Loke Dhammi Chittanga Sanakampati. Nothing can perturb or disturb an enlightened mind. And they are very strongly established in one position. They are not free from motions. Indirectly it is said in the Mulapariyaya Sutta, saying the enlightened ones are free from the Vaya Bhuta, the magnetic element, capable of attraction and repulsion. Motionless mind, calm and quiet mind, non-thinking mind, non-speaking mind as said by Krishnamurti, silent mind as said by Krishnamurti. And that is the emancipation from mental suffering. But the suffering of the body continues even after enlightenment. Decay, sickness and death. There is no more physical suffering after final passing away, as I mentioned earlier. No more rebirth after the passing away of an enlightened one. It is the ultimate goal of Buddhism. This is explained in a metaphorical and simile description in discourse called Rata Vinita Sutta that comes on page 362 in the volume 1 of Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddhist canon. There is a discussion between Reverend Sariputta and another monk called Mantaniputta, Reverend. Reverend Sariputta asked Mantaniputta a number of questions. First question he asks us, why do you follow the Buddha and follow his teaching? His teaching means entirely Brahmacharya, the sublime teaching of the Buddha. Then he said, ask whether you are doing it to purify your discipline, purify your way of living, to attain an unharmful, harmful means not to yourself as well as not to others. That is called Sila Visuddhi, purity of discipline. Then Reverend Mantaniputta said, not so. Then I following Buddha for the purification of your mind? Not so. Not for that. Then ask whether you are following it to remove your prejudices, Ditti Visuddhi? Not so pure. Then Kanka Vitarani, I following that teaching to clear the doubts about the Buddha's teaching? No, not so pure. Then Magga Magga Jatini, you see, to find out the right path and the wrong path? Not so pure. Then to establish the right path, Patipada Jnanadasana Shuddhi, to realize the right path to Nirvana? Not so pure. Then realization in Nirvana, Jnanadasana Shuddhi, to purify that? Not so pure. Then he said, I am following Buddha's teaching of sublime living called Arya Ashtanga Marga or Brahmacharya, in short, for Anupada Parinirvana. Parinirvana is not enlightenment, but final passing away after the enlightenment. It is for that purpose I follow the Buddha. And called Anupada means non-clinging. And he explained further Reverend Mantaliputta, we entertain clinging even to Sila Visuddhi, the purity of our discipline. When you are purely disciplined, pure in our discipline, we get attached, we cling on to it, we hold on to it. Chitta Visuddhi, the purity of the mind, we hold on to it. Ditta Visuddhi, when the mind is free from prejudices, we hold on to it. We like it. We are pleased with it. Magga, when we are inquiring into the right and path to Nirvana, differentiating it from the wrong path, then we get attached to that search. Then when we find out the correct path, correct discipline, we get attached to it. When we understand what Nirvana is, the bliss of Nirvana, we get attached to it. It is not getting it. Non-attachment is the ultimate goal of Buddhism. In the Alagadupama Sutta, Buddha said that no one should, that no one means his disciple should not get attached to even Buddha's own teaching. And it should be used as a boat to cross the river, to go to the other side of life. This Alagadupam Sutra comes in the on the page, starting with page 324 in the volume 1 of Majjhima Nikaya, in the Buddhist canon. The main teaching is don't get attached to. Don't try to carry the boat once you have crossed the river of thinking. That is flood. In Ogatana Sutra is called, we have to cross the flood of thinking. Ogatarana. Oga means the torrent of thinking, the thinking process. In all these teachings, the main aim of the Buddha was to get people detached from all the attachment, and that is the final emancipation. And the final emancipation mentally is achieved by enlightenment, and physically by the final passing away, because thereafter there is no physical suffering too. From enlightenment to Parinirvana, the final passing away, one is free of, emancipated, free of mental suffering, but undergoes physical suffering, but not mentally. It is the body that undergoes. Because the enlightened one, and any enlightened one, does not identify oneself with one's own body. It is only a vehicle. Now when you are going in the car, you are not the car. When you are going in a bus or train, you are not the bus or the train. Similarly, our mind is traveling in this vehicle called body that we have to leave when we are leaving this world. That is not ours. Once you realize this body is practically mine, but realistically it is not mine, because I am not carrying it. I have never brought it from the other world, and I am not carrying it back to the other world after death. The body dies, the body of any life dies at that life. That body is not carried to a future life reborn. It is the mental process that came from life to life, and therefore the first step is clearing the attachment to that mental process. That is why I say, Sankittena pancha upadana kanda dukkha, because that is, the clinging to the mind is the main cause of suffering. Because you think, I am thinking, that is my mind, that is my feeling, and that is my idea, that is my opinion, that idea is lost. Not only the enlightenment, the idea get lost on the first stage to enlightenment called Sotapanna, Sakkaya Ditthi. The concept of self is lost, is extinct at that stage. But the tendency, the latent tendency for an individual to continue can continue even after the 7th year, not after the 8th year, as said in the Ratana Sutra, Nate Bhavang Attamang Adyanti. The final emancipation from that body, the physical body, is at the final passing away after enlightenment. And that is the ultimate supreme bliss. The real Buddhists are aiming at.